today we're going to look at the propulsive phase of the swimming stroke. Before we've looked at the catch setup, so we've got ourselves in that nice catch position. And now it's looking at this point here from where the hand comes basically from the shoulder line all the way through to the back end of that one. So we're going to start off with building in some tricep dips. Tricep dips will help make us feel the right muscle movement to then bring into the full stroke, and we'll start using some bands straight after that as well. So let's think about the propulsive phase. From this propulsive phase here, we're looking at that position, and it comes all the way through, and then it's down into that position there like that. So you're pushing all the way through. And if you think about it, that position there is essentially a tricep dip. So we're going to start off with a tricep dip. All of these exercises, they're all focused on movement and form, rather than actually trying to build massive strength and endurance and anything like that. So it's about feeling the movement rather than trying to smash the movement, so to speak. So first of all, let's look at tricep dip. So if you find yourself a chair or a sofa or something, a bench or a side, anything like that which gives you a bit of purchase, we're going to have our legs out straight in front of us. If that's a little bit hard, you can bend your knees and bring your feet a little bit closer to make it a little bit easier for you as well. Ideally, we're going to have our hands flat. I'll come on to a bit why that's quite important. But if you haven't got a particularly wide chair like this one here, then obviously you can go and grip onto it for stability. So, we're going to go out into that position there, and then you're going to just sink down to wherever it's comfortable. If you get all the way down, great, and then back up again. So really trying to feel how your palm is pushing down, ideally into that position there, pushing down, and then pushing back up again through. And bring that feeling then into the full stroke when we move into the full stroke just now. So let's think about why we're looking at that flat hand position. So when your hand comes into the catch setup position there, it then makes the catch move into pre-propulsive points back here, and then from there it drives all the way through. If you think about your hand like a paddle, if it is pointing straight backwards, you're going to get the biggest amount of purchase on the water, so you can push all the way through to the back end. Notice tricep dip position. So when you've got your hand in the tricep dip position, or now when you start using bands, etc., even if they're one of these handle ones, try and have it so your hand is pointing flat. Also have a think about where your hand is pointing in terms of the fingertips. So we're looking at flat and pointing down, but also from the front there. So there I am in the catch position, and I'm going to make sure I'm pulling my hand, or pushing my hand back to this position, and then pushing it all the way to the back end of the stroke. So with this, notice the fingertips are pointing down all the way through there. They're not cutting into that position, and they're not cutting out the side either. It's from there and pulling and pushing straight back into that position at the back end of your stroke. So not only are you looking at palms pointing back all the way through, but you're also making sure that they're not cutting it round in that sort of position as well. So whenever you do these band works, make sure you've got a palm, or open palm if you can. Much easier if you've got paddles, and you're pushing all the way to the back end of your stroke. So let's just focus on that back end of the stroke. I'm going to go from a kneeling position. If you've got these either a bit higher up, you can go from a standing position like that, coming down, or you can stand up and sort of pitch over slightly, bending from the hips. But we're going to go for that back end position. So we've worked that front, so we've got a nice high elbow catch set up. Depending on how flexible you are, might mean it's a bit higher or lower. And then we're going to focus on this back bit here. So if we're about in line with your where your heart rate strap would go, you're going to get your hands to around about your shoulder position. Notice, I'm holding onto this one otherwise it'll ping back at me. Notice that I've got my elbow, and it's either in line or slightly pointed ahead of me, so it's not behind the hand. So making sure that the elbow is nice and high, because from this position I can then press backwards and finish off the stroke. Notice how similar that is to a tricep dip. From there, pressing backwards and finishing off the stroke. It's not sawing, so it's not kind of cutting in that way, and it's not scooping either, so it's not that sort of motion there. It's from there and it's a press. And this is a far more powerful position to be in when you start going into swing stroke. So we're going to focus on that position there. So you're going to come up to about the heart rate strap. From there, check your elbows in the right place, and then push back. So it's leading with the hand, the elbows following, as opposed to leading with the elbow and the hand following. So from that position, nice flat palm as we just discussed, push back each time. So just focusing on that back end position there. See if you can feel how it is similar to the tricep dips we just did over there, and how it's similar to then the catch position as well. So we've spoken all about that palm position. Let's think about that palm position with regards to the elbow coming through as well. So when we're swimming, nicely, everything else, you're going to get into that catch position. You're going to pick up that elbow position just there, and then drive all the way through. Essentially, your hand comes there, catches up with the elbow, then they both come to the shoulder, and then the hand leads all the way back as well. So you are rotating through that shoulder to get that motion, hence we did the flexibility work earlier on. So let's just do some full strokes just now, and let's really try and see and focus and feel on that elbow and hand position all the way through. So we're not dropping and end up pulling through there or across or anything like this. We're out of the water, so we can really focus on the movement. As I said, if you've got the bands up nice and high, you can do this as a standing position. If you've got the bands low like I do, it's being a kneeling position instead will be better. So again, I'm going to hold on to the other one so it doesn't ping back at me. And we're looking at just taking a little bit of tension into the strokes, so just around right there. So I've got a little bit of tension, so now I'm practicing getting into that nice catch setup position here, and then I'm pushing all the way through. If you want to split this up into two, to make it a little bit easier, so from there and then all the way through, I have a momentary pause. You can do that just to make sure you're getting the right positions and the elbow is in the right place. Try and use the side of the mat or something to help make sure that you are actually pulling and pushing straight down a line as opposed to cutting across or out the side at all. So I'm using the side of the mat here. So from there, yeah, I'm making sure my elbow is nice and high, putting it into that position, and then I'm pushing all the way through. Notice how my palm is still pointing back. I'm not scooping up into that position there. I'm really pressing to the very back end of the stroke. As you feel more confident, I can then start being a bit more of a full stroke swim into that position just there. Once you're happy with that swimming action, let's just bring in a little bit of rotation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go into a plank position. I'm going to do this long limbs, so long legs, but actually just in the elbow position there of the hand, just to get a little bit of rotation coming into it and a bit more of a feel for it. Again, you can break this down into two parts if you want to, just to make sure you are setting yourself up for that front position and then driving all the way to the back. But the idea here is just to bring in a little bit of rotation into the stroke as well. So, again, same position, setting myself up into a nice plank position just there. Take a little bit of tension so I can get hold of the stroke, and the water just there. So I'm going to reach through, catch, as I get to this position, push all the way through to the back to get back in. So there, notice my hips are rotating to the back end of the stroke. In fact, if I can even get a little bit of reach going onto there, so almost reaching, facing the other direction, from there, elbow all the way through. I'm starting to get the full stroke into that position there. If you want to do that for the knees to make it a little bit easier, you can do, but the idea is rotation and all the way through. If you've got the cords set up nice and high, you can do exactly the same thing, but from that position, bring all the way through, and actually getting a bit of rotation with your legs and your hips as well at the same time. So that's really focusing on the propulsive side of your stroke mechanics. Again, none of these exercises are designed to be something which are really pushing and stressing out your system. It's about trying to get you moving properly and aware of the difference in your stroke mechanics. The best way to try that is try and swim normally and see if you can feel any difference in what we're trying to generate with the good movements and the good mechanics in the stroke that we're doing just now.